Welcome to Short Movie Channel. Our movie today is mysterious, and will leave you surprised at the end when you find out the truth. The film starts with a woman named Lauren trying to call the police for help because her husband is chasing her and trying to kill her. But before she can tell the police where she is, her husband kills her, and then kills himself. Their daughter is left behind under mysterious circumstances. 2 weeks later, the police send a cleanup crew to clean the crime scene and prepare the house to be handed over to the legal heirs. One of the workers is Kevin, who's working with Linnea, the killer's sister. Kevin tells her that they've cleaned up all the crime scene evidence. She signs the paperwork to receive the house and tells him she can't live there, not after her brother and his wife died in it. She wants to sell the house as soon as possible. Later that night, Natalie meets up with Kevin at home and tries to get close to him, but he pulls away because he's still emotionally messed up. The next day, they go see a therapist, and we find out their relationship has been rocky because Kevin caught her cheating with another guy. After being separated for a full year, Kevin decided to take her back because he still loves her. But even now, he struggles to get over her betrayal. The therapist advises them to let go of the past before the love between them disappears completely. She suggests they move into a new house, somewhere with different surroundings, to help them move on. Kevin agrees with her advice, and once they get home, he suggests to Natalie that they buy the house where the murder happened, since Celine is selling it for a really low price. Natalie says there's no way she can live in a house where a murder took place, she'd have constant nightmares. Kevin gets frustrated and tells her that he can't live in the house where she cheated on him either, that's way too hard for him. Later that night, Kevin is sleeping alone on the couch. Natalie comes over and tells him she's willing to move into the new house, but only if he promises to go back to college and finish his studies. The next day, they go check out the new house and really like it. After touring the place, they give Celine a check for $100,000 and ask her to accept it, saying they can't afford to pay more. Celine agrees since she just wants to get rid of the house quickly. After that, Natalie starts moving her stuff into the new house. Her sister Danny comes over to help and tells her that all the media outlets have been talking about the murder that happened there. No one knows the real reason why the guy killed his wife and then himself. Natalie tells her that she's trying to forget what happened in the house so she can focus on fixing her relationship with her husband. Suddenly, they hear the dog barking. Natalie goes to check and finds the dog standing in front of the wardrobe, staring like he saw something. She opens the closet but finds nothing, although she does notice some scratch marks on the wall. That night, while Natalie and Kevin are sleeping, they hear the dog barking again. Kevin gets up and takes the dog outside. Suddenly, the dog freezes on the stairs and starts barking again, this time, because he sees a dark shadow running fast. When Kevin comes back to the bedroom, Natalie tells him she also saw a dark figure in the bathroom. Kevin gets a little anxious and opens the bathroom door but finds nothing. He reassures Natalie, saying she must be imagining things. He checks to make sure all the doors in the house are locked. The next day, Kevin goes to class and meets a girl named Avery. After the lecture, he gives her his number. She tells him she's top of the class and offers to help him with all the subjects. He thanks her and heads back home to prepare a romantic dinner for his wife. The next day, while Natalie is taking a shower, she sees something written on the mirror. "You are the most beautiful woman in the world." She assumes Kevin wrote it and goes to thank him for the sweet gesture, but she's shocked when he tells her he didn't write anything. She thinks he's joking. Suddenly, the doorbell rings. They open it and find a delivery guy handing them a package worth $2,000. Kevin is confused. He didn't order these magazines. He tells his friends about the weird stuff going on, and one of them suggests maybe the neighbors want to scare him off, worried that the murder might happen again. At that moment, Natalie was at home, talking to her sister on the phone. She told her that she didn't want to live in the house anymore because she felt like weird things were happening. But Danny warned her not to mention any of that to her husband so he wouldn't get upset. Then Natalie told her that she had already made plans with their mom to come over for dinner. Natalie seemed hesitant because her relationship with her mom was really strained, and she didn't want to see her. After the call ended, Natalie noticed the dog barking because his ball had rolled under the bed. She tried to reach it, but it was too far, so she grabbed a stick to try and pull it out. But as soon as she came back, she found the ball back on top of the bed. That freaked her out. That night, while she was sleeping alone in the room, Natalie suddenly saw a hand appear in front of her bedroom door and then disappear. She quietly walked toward the door to see if anyone was there, but just before she reached it, someone appeared behind her and knocked her out. When Kevin got home, he found her lying on the couch, completely unaware of what had happened. When he took her to the bedroom so she could rest, she suddenly remembered and told him that someone had broken into the house and drugged her. Kevin didn't believe her. He said she was probably just imagining things or had a nightmare, especially since the door had been locked from the inside. There was no way anyone could have broken in. That upset Natalie because he didn't take her seriously. They both ended up visiting a therapist to talk about what happened. Kevin explained that everything Natalie had seen was probably just her imagination. Maybe she was afraid of the house because of what happened there before, a murder. After leaving the therapist's office, Kevin tried to make up with her and reminded her that her mom and sister were coming over for dinner. Later on, Danny arrived at the house and put the food she brought in the fridge. Then she went to change clothes in Natalie's room. Suddenly, she heard the dog barking in the living room. When she went to check, she found the kitchen faucet running. She turned it off, but right after that, all the lights in the house went out. She started hearing footsteps approaching. Realizing someone was inside the house, she ran to call Natalie, but her phone had died. She had no choice but to hide in the closet, terrified. She could feel someone was nearby. Suddenly, a mysterious person appeared behind her, pulled her toward him, and took her away. A little while later, Natalie and Kevin returned home and didn't find Danny there. They assumed she hadn't arrived yet. Suddenly, they heard a noise outside. Kevin discovered that someone had set his car on fire and run away. When they reported it to the police, Kevin told Detective Thomas that someone was trying to scare them out of the house. The detective said he would assign officers to monitor the house and find out if someone was trying to harm them. Later, Natalie went to meet Selena, the woman who sold them the house. Natalie told her about all the strange things happening and asked about the murder that had taken place. She wanted to know why Selena's brother killed his wife. Selena told her that Lauren, her brother's wife, was an architect and she had designed the house herself. Natalie also learned that Lauren had been having an affair, and when her husband found out, he killed her and then took his own life. What made it even stranger was that the house cameras had mysteriously stopped working on the day of the murder, suggesting someone else might have been involved. Natalie was shocked and still couldn't explain the weird things happening. As she was leaving Selena's place, her husband Robert approached her and said he knew everything going on in the house. He offered to buy it from her for a lower price than what she had paid. Natalie refused and noticed that his tone had changed. He advised her to sell the house before she got herself into trouble. She ignored him and went back home. That night, while Natalie and Kevin were sleeping, they woke up to the sound of someone inside the house. When they went to check it out, they didn't find anyone. So they called the police. Detective Thomas came and ordered surveillance cameras to be installed inside the house. Kevin set them up and connected them to the TV so they could see everything happening in real time. The next day, while Kevin was at work, Natalie stayed home alone. She found photos of herself sleeping on her phone. She knew Kevin didn't take them and suspected the same person who had drugged her. Suddenly, she heard a noise in the living room and saw a strange man standing at the door, walking toward her. Terrified, she quickly called the police. But before she could give them her location, she saw the man's shadow in the room. She ran to hide on the balcony, hoping he wouldn't see her. Unfortunately, he found her, pushed her off the balcony, and she fell into the pool. Kevin found her and pulled her out. When the police arrived, they searched the house but didn't find anyone. Later, Kevin was called to the police station where Detective Thomas showed him the footage from the security cameras. Kevin realized that there was no one actually chasing his wife. Thomas suggested that Natalie needed psychiatric help because she was imagining it all. They went to see the therapist again, but Natalie and Kevin got into an argument there. Natalie still insisted that someone was in the house. Kevin got frustrated and stepped outside to talk to her. He tried to explain that she had been imagining things and suggested she take some time off work to relax. Suddenly, Kevin collapsed. Natalie rushed him to the hospital. The doctor told her they ran a blood test and found a strong poison in his system. Thankfully, they managed to remove the toxin before it was too late. Soon after, Natalie was called in for questioning at the police station. Detective Thomas accused her of trying to kill Kevin. She was shocked and told him she would never do such a thing. After the investigation, she was released because there was no clear evidence against her. When she got home, she set up a camera near the bed to record everything happening while she slept. She needed to know for sure if someone was actually in the house. The next day, Kevin's condition improves and he returns home. When he gets back, Natalie tells him she'll make him dinner so they can eat together. But he tells her he'll be late because he's going to study with his friend Avery. It's clear that he's worried and suspicious of Natalie. He actually thinks she might be trying to kill him. Later that night, Natalie hears the doorbell ring. When she opens the door, a strange man attacks her and tries to assault her. She stabs him in the back with a pair of scissors and calls the police. When she and Kevin head to the police station, Detective Thomas tells them that he interrogated the attacker and found out he was sent by Robert, Selena's husband. He informs them that Robert has been arrested and admitted that he planned the attack because he was deep in debt. He wanted to buy the house from them at a low price and then resell it at a profit to pay off his debts. Kevin feels guilty for thinking his wife was mentally unstable and for not believing her. Later, he heads to the university and finds a message from Natalie telling him not to come home tonight because she needs some time alone. At the same time, Natalie is in the bathroom and calls Kevin to check in on him, asking him not to be late because she wants to celebrate with him. Kevin is confused by what she says and tells her she sent him a message saying not to come home. Natalie gets suspicious, checks the security camera she installed in her room, and is shocked to see someone crawl out from under the bed, write the message, send it, and then crawl back underneath. Suddenly, she sees the same person come out of the wardrobe. He sneaks up behind her and drugs her. When Natalie wakes up, she finds herself locked in a hidden room in the house. The room is filled with pictures of Lauren, the previous owner of the house who was murdered, along with photos of her having an affair with someone. That someone turns out to be the same man who kidnapped Natalie. He gets closer to her to scare her again, but Natalie tries to calm him down. Looking at the photos, she realizes that he was Lauren's lover. She figures out that Lauren designed the house and built the secret room to hide her lover in. But when her relationship with her husband improved, she decided to abandon the lover and left him trapped in the secret room to die. However, the lover, Michael, managed to escape. Now he wants to kill anyone who lives in the house. When he sees Kevin entering the house, he prepares a syringe with poison and sneaks out of the secret room to kill him. Kevin walks into the bedroom and sees a woman lying on the bed. Thinking it's his wife Natalie, he approaches her, only to discover it's her sister's dead body. Suddenly, Michael appears behind him, slams him into the wall, and knocks him unconscious. Luckily, Natalie manages to free herself from the handcuffs and escapes from the hidden room just in time to save her husband. But Michael sees her hiding, grabs her, and starts choking her. He decides to inject her with the poison too. But just before he does, Kevin comes from behind and strikes him. Then Natalie grabs the scissors and stabs Michael, killing him once and for all. The nightmare finally comes to an end. A month later, they decide to sell the house and move into a new one, hoping to start fresh and leave all the trauma behind them. And that brings us to the end of today's movie. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the film in the comments, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.